Realtist Real Talk Podcast.
And hello, fellow Realtists. Welcome to the Realtist Real Talk Podcast. I am Amber Lewis.
And I'm Pasker.
And today we have our Executive Director, Renee Wilson, here today with us to talk about the NAREB Top 100. Welcome.
So this is the last day of the convention. Madam ED, how are you feeling right now?
I am overjoyed in a way. I've had so many people that have said that this has been like one of the best, most amazing conferences, a lot of good feedback. So when you've worked really hard, the team has done an excellent job making sure that everything when you guys arrive, whatever it takes to make sure that when you guys arrive, that you have a really pleasant, enjoyable, engaging, impactful experience, and that's the feedback that we've been given. So the closer I get to the end, and the more I hear that, the more the behind the scenes fades away, and you can start to really be happy that you accomplished the goal, that your membership has thoroughly enjoyed and gotten information and enjoyed. I asked a group of first-time members, first-time attendees yesterday I was with, and I said, what was the event or session? And all of them said, the networking here is amazing. Like just amazing. So that's become the number one thing. I think that's where the relationships are built and the referrals are established. And now you know people in places where you may not have a client today, but you may have a client tomorrow. Right. And that's something NAREB has done really, really well over the years. We want to put some infrastructure in place to allow you guys to do that a little bit better. So I don't know if that's going to be an app. I may be speaking too soon. We're going to find a way to get technology.
Yes.
We heard about an app.
We did.
So for the people that don't even know about what an executive director is, can you break it down? What do you do for NAREB and how long have you been doing it?
So this is my 20th year. 18 months as executive director. But the relationship manager had the majority of the components of what I do today. I really can't tell the difference between the two. I just have a lot more people calling, asking me to do more stuff. But it's pretty much some of the same work that I've always done. I still manage all of the partner relationships. I still do the majority of the fundraising. I have other people who connect the dots as well across the country in markets. And then once I make the connection, then I usually manage the partnerships from there. But the primary job, which is why I said it's very similar, is working with the leadership team, report to the board of directors. They, vote and approve what direction that we're going, what the vision is, kind of goes through a process. But we have a great team of leaders. Our president-elect, first, second, and third vice presidents are like my first line of direction, if you will. Yes. So as we talk about what does NAREB look like, well, we have pillars. We have 2 major national events a year. We have a Summit. We have a CB. So you take all of our events that we do, and so what is the messaging? What is it that we want to accomplish? What is it we're trying to do for our members? How are we trying to communicate with our members and give them direction on what they need to do to have impact in their market? Because when it rolls from the bottom up, then you have what we've had here at National, and everyone's really excited about, here we're all together, all those. I think I've hugged at least, I've got like 1,000,009 hugs since I've been here. You certainly can't feel lonely or any of that stuff.
Absolutely,
the love flows. Like, it's almost as if you haven't seen a long lost relative. We act like we only see each other like every 10 years.
100%, yeah.
Because the minute's just like,
so excited to see each other.
So excited to see each other. And so we want to make sure leadership, the direction of the things that we're doing, we're trying to do a much better job of being organized, that we can communicate this is the direction the organization is going. We all know that our major objective is to close the wealth gap for Black Americans. I think everyone knows, they've heard over and over again for 10 years from Sheba that we can't seem to get on the other side of this 27-30% gap. Yes. And so I think that's our main priority. But the leadership team works strategically to figure out what do those things need to be that we do. And then when we figure that out, then my role becomes how do I then get a team, my staff and others, regional vice presidents, the infrastructure of NAREB, the affiliates. How does everyone learn what the strategy is and know what your role is, even down to the committees, so that we're all pushing in the same direction to get the ship, to get to land, to have the impact that we need. So my day-to-day is, are all the dots connecting, as you're connecting dots and everything doesn't work perfectly the first time, I spend a lot of time on making sure that the fires are put out,
Right.
and that we get back on track.
Yes.
Either someone's going to call and tell me there's a fire starting because something didn't get to them, or they didn't understand, or they didn't hear, or it didn't get emailed, or they don't have the information. And so I've been putting a lot of time and energy right now into building a team. So I have a very young team here with me. I've got a 3-week-old, I've got a 4-month-old, and Sharita's almost a year old. And so I just thought the best way for me, to learn is on-the-job training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to, you've seen, I think every time I move, they're moving.
Absolutely.
But I've been able to say, and I wanted them to have their own personal experience. So next week when we're preparing, I don't have to try to articulate and explain. They will be able to have had the experience. So therefore, our effectiveness as well to support the strategy of leadership is what I'm responsible for, to make sure that I have efficient people in place that will deliver with excellence, because that's what we represent for the organization. So I get to do that. I get to, pay a lot of bills. Pay a lot of bills, and financial credibility and making sure that things are handled efficiently, and that my fiduciary duty financially is to make sure things are sound for the organization.
Wow.
And so every phone call, whether it's past president, regional, local board, state, member, team, committee, executive committee, board of directors members, this phone rings, text message, email, phone calls.
Wow.
My job is to make sure that when I hang up the phone, that everyone has what they need.
I heard that.
That's the goal.
We're trending in the right direction.
Absolutely.
It's like, I don't know how you deal with the challenge of topping every convention, because it gets bigger
And bigger.
every time. So you're doing amazing.
We get more and more and more and more creative. But you know what happens with that? It's almost as if, like when you're planting in your garden, the seeds, and you're watering and you're like, when is this thing gonna break through? And I think for us, for this, I have to give kudos to Madam President Poe.
Yes.
She has done an absolutely amazing job in her strategy, the 5 pillars that we've been continuing to build. I think now we're at execution and implementation. And so I think along the way, and I want to give kudos to the regional vice presidents, they've gotten more engaged. I think we've done more training. So I think it's a lot of the little pieces. And if we continue, one of the things I'm excited about that I'm incorporating when I talk to folks, particularly putting out fires, is about the culture. The Realtist culture, like, do people really understand what the Realtist culture is about? Who we are. We're family, and we have moments, but I don't care what the moments are. At the end of the day, a Realtist will hurt you over another Realtist.
That's true.
Because
Absolutely,
that's the family bond that we have. And so what does the culture of a Realtist look like? We help one another, we share, we support, we hug, we listen. We may tell you off a little bit because we think some of us need to hear it that way.
Yeah.
But it's about being thoughtful and considerate, having compassion. Those are the types of traits that we want Realtors to understand are very important in being respectful. Being respectful. Being respectful will take you a really, really long way.
Absolutely.
Good communication.
Yeah.
All those things are really important factors. And so I think the more we do that, it's a perfect platform for growth. It's attractive to people to want to be a part. And so I think it's the entire membership. I leverage these events for fundraising. Like if I'm trying to get someone to really understand, I don't even know how you package to describe it, what it's like to be here on the property.
It's hard to
It's
put it in
hard
words.
to really put it in words. So when I can't articulate, I can, pique their interest and get them on board. But when they're trying to figure out how they connect and a lot of, what's our return on investment, I'm like, okay, treat yourself to a national convention, and then we'll talk afterwards. And that has worked for me every single time.
So you have to experience it, right?
Every
you have
single
to be
time.
there.
And even then, when they experience it, I was like, okay, so articulate to me, but then they can't articulate. They go back and they try to, and then they can't.
They
it's
can't
like
even do it.
I get words like it's like family, and it's like it's you know the energy and the passion, and it's something about, and the people are just so passionate, and it's like but it's really hard to package it until you experience it.
Yes.
So I give credit to the growth. I think top of the house strategy, but I think really our secret sauce is in every single member. They get bit by the bug, and then they're excited to be here, and then they bring some people, and then they experience, and they're like, oh my God, it's my first one, this was amazing.
Yep.
I think that's really the secret sauce.
That's it.
They become a champion. But I think a part of the conversation of becoming a champion and the overall culture of NAREB is something fabulous that you just began this year at this conference. So if you weren't here in Houston, you completely missed out on a beautiful event. But the NAREB Top 100, really celebrating the top producers within our industry, but specifically NAREB. Can you talk to us a little bit of how that became a brainchild of yours, how you actually executed on something so effectively, something so beautiful, and what are the next steps there?
Like, I want to skip to the next steps, but
Take us down the journey. Take us down the journey.
But absolutely, of course. So we have done we used to call it emerging leaders and top producers, and we've done that for many, many years. Various, different leaderships, we've had different ideas, and we've done it differently. And so coming into my role as executive director, I was executive director when we had Tampa last year, and we'd get 8 or 9 emerging leaders, 7 or 8, 9 top producers within the organization. It was like a reception. And I thought, when I sat there, I thought it takes a lot of energy to put on these events and just all the details. And I thought, for acknowledging excellence in Black America as a realtist, I think I just felt like that had so much value. The other component of it, which brought me to NAREB Top 100, is I've had many conversations with partners that are franchises, and what is the with them for them being a part of NAREB. Brian, no question about our loan officers. We know you have to have a loan to close. That's real clear cut. But for our franchises that have other, mostly realtor agents, what's the connectivity? How do we align? Where do we find the value? And we brainstormed. Can't tell you, countless conversations. And I thought, okay, but if this is a real estate professional realtist event, I think I can create an opportunity. And there's diversity and inclusion everybody has. Let's see how we can help them identify more the opportunity, because we have a lot of our realtist members who have their own shops, and they're not looking to move, but we do have some real estate professionals who would like to know what the options are and what's available to them. So I thought, okay, so that is one piece. Then the other thought was, from an education component, how can we help our members, if you're not a top producer, become a top producer, and what's beyond being a top producer? How do you just continue to grow? So it became 3 or 4 different things that got stuck in my head. I hadn't really put all the pieces together, and I was like, oh, that's just a whole lot of work. And then about May, after I went from last year August to May, just kept in conversations with the different partners and with members. I was like, if I could figure out how to connect those dots. And so I talked to a couple of franchises. They were
excited.
This is great. And then as I talked to members about, are you a top producer? And if I could bring some education and strategy on how you maybe just tweak a couple of your systems or change a couple of your systems, you could be, that would be amazing. We can, come with some strategies on that. So I had those components, and then I thought, okay, 50 or 100, and because I love challenging myself, I was like, let's shoot for the 100, and I'll land at the 50. Like, worst case scenario, I'll at least land at the 50 if I shoot for the 100. So once we got the landing page, and I wanted to do a little bit differently, a couple of young women on the committee that I called LaTanya Martin. I had Terry Copeland out of Atlanta, LaTanya's out, and I wanted people from all over. And then Jamila in Houston, Wincy was doing like the top 20 in Houston. So I called her and I said, I don't want to start from scratch, but can you please let me steal some of your components? And she was open to doing that. So I had that piece, because I had a short window, because now it's the end of May. So I had that piece, and then I reached out to Pam Wyatt in Huntsville, and I had Kendra Taff in Baltimore. So I reached out to them, and we brainstormed on a name. I wanted it to be, very Black, if you will. And so as we thought about where was excellence over the years with blacks? And someone's like, Tulsa. I was like, Wall Street. And so the pieces,
Oh, wow.
and we were like,
Yeah.
but something was still missing.
Mm-hmm.
So at 5 o'clock one morning, I was like, we're going to reimagine today what Black Wall Street would give honor, reverence, respect to what those Black people did during that time, how they created wealth. So it would have a wealth, tone, and touch to it. And then as we went, we were like, let's make it fun. Let's go Gatsby. And I thought, if we put another dress on this attire, they're going to kill us. But we thought that it would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
So it really evolved from sitting in the room in Tampa and saying, this is really important. And I know we have people out there that we need to acknowledge and recognize that are doing business. And then the last piece of it was, once I got going on it, and people would start being really excited, and the buzz started, and we started doing marketing, and folks start posting and start calling. And I was like, okay, so I think I'm on to something. And so I called the PR guy, and I said, I get my 5 o'clocks. And this one was, what do you think the amount of business is being done by Black people in Black America?
That's interesting.
So I called the PR, Mike Frisbee, and I said, I want to, I always say, is this newsworthy? I have a lot of ideas. It's like, Renee, that's not newsworthy. You just need to go do that. And I said, I think I have something newsworthy. He goes, okay. I was like, we put out a press release that say this group, because the production is only the top 50, and then it was the teams and commercial. It's not, the rest of it is not production. So I said, I want to put out something that I want to say that I believe we will exceed $1 billion. And he said, do you have an idea whether you would come close to that? Because we don't necessarily want to send out a press release, major one, and you fall way short. And I talked to Jamila, and she said, well, with the 20, we do pretty well. I was like, we're going to make it a goal. We're going to exceed it. Okay. So he said, if you're sure. I was like, I want to do it. So we put that out, and I wanted to do that to, I just think that the world needs to know, yes, we have challenges. The wealth gap is real, but we have some members that are doing business.
I also
wanted it to be a membership strategy so that we get the word. We hear all the time, I've never heard of NAREB, I've never heard of NAREB, I've never heard of NAREB. We hear that all the time. And so this is also, that was another strategy. It could also address that as well, because we're going to run this campaign through the entire year. And so people will be able to share that they were a winner, be able to share the excitement of the evening, be able to share the education, be able to share. And so that way, I think it will just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we'll have less and less people saying, I didn't know. I've not heard of the organization. So it was an evolution. It took almost a year for me to get from there to that night. But I did have help. The committee was amazing. We met numerous times and just feeding off of each other and brainstorming. But we thought that, I think when we went with Wall Street Reimagined, it really sparked. People could really relate to what that vision was and wanted to be, I want to be a part of how do I create this in this group. And so I'm thinking every year we have 100, and then we have 200, and then we have 300, and then we have 400, and then we have 500.
Wow.
And then maybe next year it's 200. The only challenge with those numbers is giving everybody awards. So that's why I wanted to, with the 50, I think we got it done in an hour, but I thought it was going to take a really long time, and then it would just be one award after the other, and then the audience would just kind of be, but the excitement remained in the room, and so we will have to strategize. If we increase it, we'll have to strategize on what that looks like, but I think we can, create this vibe in the organization that people will want to be a part of this NAREB 100. And then throughout the year, we want to do special days. And so that's going to, the partners who are going to, also on the education piece, they're taking some of their sessions. Cole Baker, Berkshire, we'll figure out. We're talking to Keller Williams. We know that people have some really good training. Yeah.
They do,
and so
great
I'm going
training.
to ask each of them to take, so Realogy's focusing from a luxury brand perspective. And so Keller Williams, they have, I've heard different names, but you can pick kind of what it is what area you think that you have the greatest need, and there will be something there for you.
Mm-hmm.
That will be under what we're creating called the NAREB Top 100 Institute. So some we will be virtual, and some of it you will just be able to go online at your own leisure. And then we'll have, I was requested to get like the top producing broker agents to be like create a panel or a workshop at Midwinter and National that they share and talk about how I'm able to produce $100 million a year, how I'm able to produce, that and have work-life balance.
It's like a mastermind, right?
Somebody had $268 million worth of sales.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to talk to her. I need her on a panel. I need that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So those are the type of things, like where do we go from here?
Yeah.
It's going to be year round.
Yes.
I'm going to continue to build the educational components, bring in more, and not just franchises, but if there is information that's going to help our Realtist members do the type of business that they want to do, is what that will be. It will be exclusive for the cohorts that are awarded. Now, the other part that I will do, if you submitted an application and you weren't one of the 50, because I think we got close to 70 some just for top producers. So even if, when we do events and training and things of that nature, if you submitted and you had an application and you were nominated within that 100, you will be a part of what we do. You didn't have to get
Actually selected.
selected.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep the whole 100. We'll have, exposure to the things that we put together. And then in Midwinter and National, we'll have a workshop or something, and then we'll have like a private networking event with the partners, so you can talk about the education and what opportunities are there, and network with the other top producing agents and things of that nature, and then learn from each other, and be able to bring some of those things into your own strategies to help grow. And then have everyone, next year push out, hashtag. I want you to let everybody, like some of those numbers, I called one person. She called 5 or 6 people. They all responded. They bought a plane ticket. That was in the last week.
Yeah.
Right before it closed. Bought a ticket, showed up in the room, and 2 or 3 of them were those top numbers from one phone call. She's like, I'm going to talk to my network. She was a top producer, and she ended up talking to 5 people.
Wow.
And I think
So if you can imagine 100 people doing that, I think we'll get lots of applications.
a lot, and it has its own life, right? It's not something that's a singular year. When you were in the room, the goodness of it is you do have your top producers that we're celebrating, but being in the audience, if you're not, you're kind of in awe of these individuals that are also you're in awe of the individuals that are actually like top producing as well, and you're like, oh my goodness, like how much more are we gonna go? It starts at like 5 million, and then you end up at like 268 million or so. So when you see that at the end of the day, just being in the audience, you want to have proximity to that greatness, and that's really what it is. And so I think you having your cohort itself is going to be great, because there's going to be people who want to learn from these individuals as well.
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting that the energy and the noise when names were called was pretty much through the whole night.
It was,
and
yeah.
The other thing that we got bombarded on that we look forward to accommodating in the future, the nominees wanted tables. Their companies wanted tables to bring.
They want to celebrate
because we were already oversold since May.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to. We have the brand new Hilton in New Orleans. We have plenty of space.
Great.
It's that hotel is amazing, and so the room that it will be in, we will be able to accommodate.
We can really party too,
Oh
right?
my God! Yes, we'll have a dance floor this time around. Gotta have a dance floor, and so I'm really excited about next year. We're not going to wait until we're going to start now and start promoting educational classes, get the marketing, put a campaign around it, and have everyone who either attended or thought it was great to help us promote it and get the word out. And we're going to see what that goal is going to be. But the final number for just the 50 was the top individuals, the team, and 5 commercial folks was 1.88 billion.
Wow.
Billion.
So they can't say we're not doing business, can they? They cannot say that.
So that's about, I think the total, 50, 62, it was only about, because the other awards were like emerging leaders, and you know, those weren't production awards. So out of the 100, that 1.88 represents a little over 70 of the 100. It wasn't even a full 100 with that production. So I had told Jamila, what we may need to do is just take everyone's production, whatever it is, and see if we actually crossed over the $2 billion mark.
I'm sure we have.
So Jamila was teasing me. She said, first, you know, you was just saying you wanted to get to $1 billion. And I kept saying, did you total? What about the other 20 people? What about the... And she's like, Ms. Wilson, we did get you over the $1 billion. Now you're like, never satisfied.
No.
But it would have been great to be able to say over the $2 billion. So we will be putting out a press release on that. So, you know, and acknowledging those individuals that helped us reach that goal. But you're correct. Being able to say that Realtist members are producing in a year's time of a small segment that had nothing to do with, we had over 1,300 people here. It was a small segment of people are producing almost $2 billion. To me, you know, I'm all about the numbers, is a very strong statement to the market. And that was one of the other goals that I wanted to accomplish, just in the work that I have to do.
But you did. You met your goal. And I think, you know, we had a great conversation with President-elect Dr. Courtney Johnson Rose, and, you know, a part of her programming and overall strategy is talking about the marketing. And I think this is so symbiotic with it. I'm excited to see next year in New Orleans. I'm already excited for New Orleans. I'm even more excited about this. I can't wait to see what your theme is going to be, right? So now you have to. So it's going to be the same theme.
So it's like hard sometimes to top something that just went so well. So we're thinking that it just resonates so well.
Absolutely. I already have ideas for my outfit next year.
You're already thinking about it.
Orange 20s. I got this.
I
think we're gonna stick with it. I'm gonna add some stuff into it, but folks just really, I was surprised that people got into it as much as it did.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
When the DJ came, he's like, what kind of music am I playing? I said, well, now
that's funny.
Keep the energy going, but we may mix in like a period of that where we get some folks to come in and do some dances.
It would be great if you could do a jazz band too.
I had looked at some music along that way, but it was a lot. It was a lot of moving parts just to get the foundation laid. But I am so excited when you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
So I can say I am extremely excited that everyone, I've gotten so much good feedback from it that I'm energized about New Orleans, because I'm like, oh my God, this really, I can just see the whole thing for New Orleans. So we're gonna get a little rest, and then we're gonna hit the
keep
ground
going
running on the marketing. You know, promote. I'm gonna really give recognition and promote the people who put in applications and supported and was involved and help get the word out and have them repost and start building and get the wish list out there and see how much we can get done on the wish list.
100%. Well, we're here to support you, and we're excited. Next year, I'll be on that list.
Okay.
Believe it.
When we had the private party down the street, it was a gentleman. It has started this competitiveness. So
I can see
he came over to me and he said, I just wanted you to know, I am not accustomed to not being number one. He's like number one in Dallas. I said, well, what number were you? He goes, I was number 8. So he was up there. I was like, well, that was pretty good. He's like, no, I have to be number 1. He says, so I'm just letting you know it's already done. I'm number 1 next year. I was like, okay.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
You get
so
people
a lot of folks. So
going.
the people at the party was starting to compete who was going to be number 1, who was coming in. So you create that within the group, and then you have others who want to now be in the group and be a top producer. So hopefully we can create some really good synergy. And I think all that in itself as well is growth to the organization.
Absolutely.
100%.
It's growth from the education side, from the partnership side. And so I would say close by saying the overall goal was I didn't want it to be a solution to one thing. I believe that things are very successful when you're solving for something. And so as I thought of partnership, membership, how many things can I create this for that it can solve for? And one of the big ones for me when I say, the seamlessness between being relationship manager and evolving into the executive director, my conversation hasn't changed a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really important for me when I talk to people about the organization. Mostly it's been to financially support, but anybody that I meet that I think have a resource that they can bring, I've always tried to get them to understand our value and what we have. And so the message of what NAREB Top 100 says to different people in different disciplines or different diversity and inclusion loans, whatever your area is, I wanted the message to be really loud and clear.
Yeah.
That if you're looking to do any kind of business with Black people,
This is where it is.
this is where you need to be.
That's it.
If you're looking for Black talent, if you're looking for home ownership, if you're looking to put Black people in homes, if you're trying to help us close the wealth gap, if you just want to be in a good place and feel like your family,
Right.
the only place on earth that you need to be is at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers with the Realtist. So that's
love
the reason
that.
and the purpose for it. That's what I wanted to accomplish with it. And I want to continue to build on it and make sure that it's one of the premier events that NAREB offers each year.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you accomplished your goal. I think it was a successful event. Kudos to you and the team.
Yes,
right?
the
Because
team,
it's a
the
whole
team, the
team to
team.
get you there.
Absolutely.
At the end of the
and
day.
primarily, I have to say, Jamila Wincy is thebomb.com. She is amazing.
Wow.
If I had to have started this I knew what I wanted to accomplish, but just when I was sitting in the room and we were needing to open the doors and they were talking about the process, and that part came from, she already had that infrastructure. I didn't tweak it much, but it really helped me to be able to meet the deadline because I had such a short time. If I had to create every process from scratch,
That would have been a lot.
I may have pushed it to next year. So I owe her immense kudos for being willing to share and, not have me completely mess it up where people would never do, any of her future NAREB Top 20s anymore. And I hope that I brought, excitement to her and appreciation for what we've been able to do to scale this. And that's what I told her. I said I'd like to scale it nationally.
Yes.
And that way we would have a national program. And so I will always keep her involved because I feel like the bones of it came from her. And I want people to know that, I said, Madam ED.
Yes.
But Madam ED and leadership can't do everything that we need to do if we don't have
Without
the
the
people
partners.
like you guys do this to help the podcast. It's all of what we all do that makes the end result amazing. So I will always give her kudos for giving the bones for something that she created and was starting to perfect. I was too much in a hurry to perfect it from scratch, so I just went and stole hers. Something that was
You didn't
working.
steal. She lent it over to you, right?
Yes,
Borrowed it a little
yes.
bit,
But
it
it
was
certainly
fabulous. It was fabulous.
So thank you guys for
Thank
wanting to learn more
you.
about it and
Absolutely.
doing the interview for me. I so appreciate being able to share that and get the word out.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can get a couple of clips from it so we can put it on some of the marketing that we'll
Yeah,
push
Yeah.
out
Well,
to make sure people are getting prepared and getting ready and we can get the buzz going and get the energy going.
Absolutely.
And get the build up. So
Well,
New Orleans will be on fire when we get there.
I'm excited for New Orleans.
it's going down.
It's going down. I said that about this, but it is. I've met so many people that are already saying, I'm there and I'm bringing. I'm bringing and I'm bringing. I'm like, oh my God. So hopefully we have space. I do think that we're
It's
going to be
gonna
moving
grow.
over
It's
to
gonna be big.
convention center levels pretty soon here.
Which is exciting.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
Elevate.
absolutely.
That's the word.
Well,
That's
thank
my
you,
word on
Madam
everything.
ED.
I so
This
appreciate
is
you
fabulous.
guys.
This is
Thank
fabulous.
you.
Congratulations on a great job.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.